Once upon a time, there was a small town nestled deep in the forest. The townspeople were friendly and welcoming, but they had a dark secret they kept hidden from outsiders. One day, a group of friends decided to go camping in the forest nearby. They set up their tents and enjoyed a peaceful evening around the campfire. But as the night grew darker, strange things began to happen. They heard footsteps around their campsite as they saw shadows moving in the darkness. Suddenly, they were surrounded by a group of townspeople who had been watching them from the shadows. The friends tried to run, but they were quickly caught and taken to the town center. They were tied up and forced to watch as the townspeople performed a horrific ritual sacrifice. As the friends watched in horror, they realized that the townspeople weren't just sacrificing animals. They were sacrificing humans. And they had been doing it for years. The townspeople had lured outsiders into the forest to be their next victims. Just when the friends thought things couldn't get any worse, they discovered the true horror of the situation. One of the friends was actually a member of the town and had brought the group there on purpose. The friend had been brainwashed by the townspeople and was now helping them lure more victims. In the end, the friends were sacrificed to the town's dark gods, and their bodies were never found. The town continued to lure unsuspecting victims into their grasp, and the forests remained a place of unspeakable horror. Years passed, and the town's dark secret remained hidden. But the memory of the group friends never faded. The families of the missing persons never gave up hope, and some even formed search parties to try to find their loved ones. One day, a young woman named Sarah stumbled upon the town. While hiking through the forest, she was immediately drawn to the small cane town and decided to spend the night at the local inn. However, she quickly noticed something strange about the town and its inhabitants. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Every time she turned around, she saw the townspeople staring at her with cold, empty eyes. She tried to leave the town the next morning, but she found herself lost in the forest, unable to find her way out. As the days passed, Sarah began to uncover the truth about the town and its dark secrets. She discovered that the townspeople had been sacrificing outsiders for years, and that they were all under the control of a mysterious ancient force that lived in the forest. In a twist of fate, Sarah discovered that she was actually the daughter of one of the missing persons from the group of friends years before. She had unknowingly stumbled upon the very town responsible for her mother's disappearance. But before Sarah could escape and seek justice for her mother, she was captured by the townspeople and brought to the center of the town for the sacrifice. As she was tied up and prepared for the ritual, she realized that the ancient force was not a myth, but a real entity that had possessed the town people and controlled their every move. As the sacrifice began, Sarah watched in horror as the ancient force manifested itself in the form of a monstrous creature that feasted on the life force of the sacrificed victims. But just when it seemed like it was all lost, Sarah's mother appeared out of nowhere and saved her from the sacrifice. Together, they fought off the townspeople and the ancient force, managing to escape the town and the forest. As they emerged from the forest, Sarah realized that the ancient force has taken roots in her as well, and that she must spend the rest of her life fighting to ensure that it never gains control over her like it did to the townspeople. Years passed after Sarah's escape, and the small town in the forest remained abandoned. But rumors began to spread of a strange occurrence in the surrounding areas. Disappearance, mysterious deaths, and sighting of strange otherworldly creatures, and sight of strange otherworldly creatures. As it turns out, the ancient force that had possessed the townspeople had not been fully destroyed. It had merely lain dormant, waiting for a new host to possess and control. The force has spread outwards from the town, infecting the surrounding areas and slowly gaining the strength. Sarah, now an experienced paranormal investigator, took it upon herself to investigate these occurrences and put an end to an ancient force that once and for all. She gathered a team of experts and she returned to the town in the forest, determined to uncover the source of the force and put an end to it. What they discovered was beyond their wildest nightmare. The ancient force has grown in strength and had taken over the forest itself. It had created a network of underground tunnels and caverns where it bred horrific creatures and conducted experiments on humans. As Sarah and her team delved deeper into the forest, they realized that the ancient force had been manipulating human history for centuries, spreading its influence through various religions, secret societies, and governments. They also realized that the force was not an overworldly entity, but a force of nature, born from the corruption and darkness of humanity itself. In a final desperate battle, Sarah and her team fought against the ancient force and its army of creatures. Many of them lost their lives in the struggle, but Sarah managed to destroy the source of the force and free the forest from its grasp. But as she emerged from the forest, battered and bruised, Sarah realized that the ancient force had not been fully destroyed. It still lurked in the shadows, waiting for a new opportunity to spread its influence and control humanity again.
Sarah spent the rest of her life studying the ancient force and its origins. She discovered that the force was not just a force of nature, but a manifestation of the darkness aspects of a human's nature. It was a reflection of humanity's fears, desires, and impulses given from thoughts of power and belief and imagination. Sarah also discovered that the force had been around since the dawn of human civilization and that it had influenced the course of human history in countless ways. It had inspired myths, legends, and religions, and had even been the inspiration for many of humanity's greatest works of art and literature. Despite her many discoveries, Sarah was never able to fully destroy the ancient force. It was remained a constant threat lurking in the shadows and waiting for new hosts to possess and control. In the end, Sarah realized that the only way to truly defeat the ancient force was to confront and overcome humanity's darkest aspects. She dedicated the rest of her life to spreading awareness of the force and encouraging people to confront their fears and desires in order to prevent the force from gaining control over them. Years after Sarah's death, the forest near the small town remained a place of mystery and terror. Many brave adventurers ventured into the forest, seeking to uncover the secret hidden within. Some never returned, while others emerged with tales of strange creatures, hidden tunnels, and mysterious symbols etched into the trees. But despite the constant threat of the ancient force, humanity continued to persevere, driven by the hope that one day they would find a way to rid themselves of the darkness that lurked within their souls. As time passed, Sarah's legacy lived on through those she had inspired to confront their fears and desires. People began to look within themselves and examine their own darkness, recognizing that only by facing their own demons could they hope to overcome the ancient force. As a result, a movement began to emerge, focused on self-reflection and self-improvement. People from all walks of life came together to share their experience and support each other in their journey toward the self-discovery. Over time, the movement grew in size and influence, spreading its message of self-reflection and personal growth to people all over the world. People began to understand that the ancient force was not just an external threat, but a reflection of the darkness within themselves. The movement influence eventually reached even the most remote corners of the world, and humanity began to undergo a transformation, and people became more aware of their actions and the impact they had on the world around them. They worked together to create a better future. one in which the darkness that had once lurked within them had been overcome. Years later, as humanity looked back on the events that had led them to this point, they realized that it was Sarah's bravery and determination that had set them on the path toward self-discovery and self-improvement, and they knew that as long as they continued to look within themselves and confront their own darkness, the ancient force would never again be able to gain control over them. In the end, the legacy of Sarah and her team of experts lived on, inspiring future generations to strive toward a brighter future, one in which humanity has overcome its own darkness and emerged stronger for it. As the movement for self-reflection and personal growth continued to grow, a new discovery was made that shook humanity to its core. It was revealed that the ancient force, the manifestation of humanity's darkest aspect, had not been destroyed as previously thought. Instead, it had gone into hidden, waiting for the right moment to strike back. The leaders of the self-improvement movement knew that they had to act fast to prevent the ancient force from regaining its power. They organized a massive effort to track down the force and destroy it once and for all. But as they delved deeper into the mystery of the ancient force, they discovered a shocking truth. The force was not just a manifestation of humanity's darkest aspects, but also a reflection of its greatest hopes and dreams. The ancient force had been manipulating human history not just to spread darkness, but also to inspire greatness. It had been the force behind the greatest work of art, literature, and science, and had inspired humanity to strive for greatness throughout the ages. As the leaders of the self-improvement movement grappled with this revelation, they realized that the only way to defeat the ancient force was not to destroy it, but to find a way to harness its power for good. With this newfound knowledge, they set out on a new path, determined to use the power of the ancient force to inspire humanity to even greater heights. And in doing so, they unlocked a potential that had been hidden within humanity all along, paving the way for a new era of greatness and enlightenment.